What's happening, guys? What's happening, guys? It's Jason from Aircooled Vintage Works, of course. And today we're going to be talking about intake systems. Just kidding. We're going to talk about Volkswagen exhausts. And as you can see behind me, we've got a lot of different examples. We're going to talk about what they all do, which one's right for your car, and answer a bunch of questions that I usually get about exhaust systems so that you guys have the information you need to get the right system for your Volkswagen. So let's get into it. So let's talk about exhaust. As you may know, on a stock motor, your original exhaust really doesn't do much for performance. It basically does the job of getting the gas out on a standard 1600, 1500, 40 horse, 36 horse, whatever you have. It's adequate for that motor. But when you try to add performance to your motor, the stock exhaust really becomes the restriction. So like if you're driving around with a 1600 in your car and you've added dual carburetors or maybe some ratio rockers or a cam or some kind of upgrade like that, the stock exhaust is going to have a hard time keeping up with the performance that you've added to your motor. So that's where an aftermarket exhaust comes in. And this we'll get to in a second, but I'm sure you've seen some of the other exhausts out there that are basically just noisemakers, in my opinion. They're not really performance adders, they just add some sound, which is cool if that's all you're after. But if you want actual performance, then you need an engineered exhaust system that's made to make power. And so what does that mean? Well, the main difference between, say, a noisemaker exhaust and a performance exhaust is going to be the design. So you may be used to seeing things like a merged header that comes out under the apron and then a stinger coming out the back. That makes a lot of noise. Stingers don't really make a bunch of power unless you got a really big motor in the car. So I'd probably avoid something like that. The other kind you'll see is basically just a baloney tube, what I call them. Basically like a glass pack with tips coming out the sides of it. Again, more of a noisemaker, not much of a performance system. What these are engineered exhausts made to make power, and they do it in a very specific way. There's a bunch of different sizings, and we'll go through all of that. And then tailpipe and muffler setup also is going to make a difference. So let's talk about these. So before we talk about this, I just want to mention this system and the other ones that are behind me are all made by A1. And we, Aircooled Vintage Works, are the largest A1 dealer in the world. And I mean that. We sell more A1 exhaust, we stock more A1 exhaust, and we ship more A1 exhaust than anybody in the world. And we ship them across the world. So no matter where you are watching this video in the world, if you see something on here that you like, or you jump on our website and you see a system that you want, we can ship it to you. Doesn't matter where you are. So keep that in mind. So this system right here in front of me is probably the most popular one that we do. This is an A1 Sidewinder header. And as you can see from the design, they call it a Sidewinder because it faces sideways. Like I mentioned before about a merged header, usually the collector will come straight out underneath your apron or in some configuration like that. But this setup turns the whole thing 90 degrees so that all of this header is underneath your apron area so that you don't have the collector coming out the front. It actually comes out the side towards the passenger side. And you see this clamp right here? This is the only connection between the header and the muffler. No 3-bolt flange, no gasket. This is a true V-band collector like you'd see on a race car. It clamps the two pieces together. There's a machined piece here and here that are TIG welded on with a precision fit, and the clamp closes them up so that no exhaust can escape. Again, race car stuff, but for your Volkswagen. And then your muffler options, which there are many, but this one is called the Super Snake. And if you come in here and take a look, this is coming out towards your passenger side. You're going to make a 90-degree turn. So basically your tire will be here. This sits off behind the tire. You've got a twin muffler setup with an adjustable tip. So this tip will turn and adjust and exit out your fender wherever you want it to. Pretty cool option. This system and all the other ones I'm going to show you today are stainless steel. That's the only way you can get an A1 system is stainless steel. This is raw. As you can see, it's just like it comes. These mufflers are polished on this one. You have the option of polishing all of this if you want it to really look like chrome. But for the most part, this is the most popular combo that we do. A Sidewinder header and some sort of muffler. This is Again, the Super Snake, this is for Beetle. Also have them for bus. If you want to go with a full body muffler, this is the turn down tip. So same concept. This is your V-band connector here. This would go up against the header here. And then you've got the full body muffler as opposed to the twin tube muffler like this one is. And then a turn down tip right here. So it just faces towards the ground. So what's the difference between these two? Obviously, they look a little bit different. The main difference is volume. Your full body muffler, like this turn down tip here, is going to be quieter. As you would expect, full body muffler, it's got more packing in it. It's not going to make as much noise. The twin tube, the Super Snake here, is going to make more noise. Power-wise, there's no difference between the two. Volume-wise, this one is much more aggressive. So if you want people to really hear you coming, Super Snake. If you want to keep it on the quieter side, get the turn down tip. Now the question we get is, well, does this fit my whatever Volkswagen, or does this fit my other Volkswagen? These have applications for all air-cooled Volkswagens. So for example, this system right here will fit Beetle. And when I say Beetle, it'll fit all Beetle, all the way up through Super Beetle. This just bolts right on. Same with this setup, it'll bolt right on. So if you have a Beetle, this is what you would expect. If you have a bus, we have a bus specific Super Snake muffler. If you wanted to go with the turn down tip like this actually will bolt right onto your bus. So which bus does it fit? Well, it fits split bus. So if you've got a bus through 67, we have a set like this to fit your car. Okay, so this is the most basic version of a performance exhaust. So before I mentioned different sizings, I also talked about finishes, and we'll get into that, but let's talk about sizings and what's going to work for your application. We'll go back to this system again. This is 1.5" tubing. So this system here would be just right for any air-cooled Volkswagen motor up to about 2 liters. So if you've got like a 1914 or a fairly mild 2007 or anything underneath that, 1.5" is going to be the right size tubing for your street car. And today we're talking about street cars, we're not talking about race cars. That's a different animal. For a street car, under 2 liters, 1.5" is the right size. And not shown here, but does come as part of the kit, J-tubes are also included with this system. So you don't need to buy anything else, it all will just bolt right on. This one uses J-tubes, and I can already hear you guys going, oh, I want to keep my heater boxes. What do I do about heat? Well, there's a solution for that. Let me show it to you. Magic of television. This is a completely different setup. If you look over my shoulder, you'll see the one we were working on before. That's the Sidewinder with the Super Snake. This is a different system. So come in, check this out. I'm going to show you the main difference. Similar Sidewinder design header, but if you want to keep your heater boxes, this is the system you need. Look right here. Instead of having slip joints, it's flanged here and on the other side. What those flanges allow you to do is you can flange your heater boxes if they're not done already, and it will bolt right to this, giving you a performance Sidewinder header with the ability to keep your heater boxes so you can still have heat in your car. Super cool upgrade, gives you all the performance of a Sidewinder and still allows you to keep the heat so that you can keep your car warm if you're in a colder climate. Performance is about the same. Simplicity is right there. It's easy to bolt together. And as you can see, this one's got a hidden tip muffler. It's a full body muffler. That's the only way this system comes. You don't have the option for the twin tube Super Snake with this setup. You can use this full body muffler with the hidden tip, Sidewinder header, flange for your heater boxes. Pretty cool setup. Same thing with the Sidewinder system that we talked about before. You've got 1.5" for your sub 2 liters. If you have a bigger motor in the 2 liter category, you probably are going to want to go to 1.5". This system would be exactly the same, but 1.5" tubing. It works for Beetle, split bus, and then this one, which is bay window specific. You can see it has this really long area here. This is to clear and get around the mustache bar on a bay window. So this one fits bay, but again, we have applications for Beetle, we have applications for split bus too. So this is what you would use if you want to keep heat in your Volkswagen. And now we switch back. So this is the first system we were looking at, just your standard Sidewinder J-tube setup. And like I said, this is 1.5 inch. We also have this in 1 5/8 for motors that are bigger than 2 liters, so like a 2110, 2165, maybe even like a mild performance 2276. You would go 1 5/8 for those. If you're gonna go bigger in performance, so big horsepower 2276, 2332, or even a 2387, we also have 1 3/4 inch, which is pretty big for a street car. It's obviously gonna make most of its bacon towards the top of the RPM range, but if you have a motor like that, we have an exhaust for you. So that's the Sidewinder exhaust. If you are building a street car and you really want extra ground clearance, this is probably the right setup for you. So let's move on from this system and go on to some of the other ones. And now we have a different system up here, and I already hear you guys going, hey, that one looks crazy. What's this one? Okay, this is the same setup, Sidewinder header, just like we looked at before, but this one is a race setup. This is what's called the race bullet. And as you can see, it's just a straight shot right through a single tube muffler and right out the side. This is basically like a 90-degree angled version of the merged header and stinger that you might be used to from the 80s and 90s. This is basically the same thing, but with a little bit of sound dampening coming from this tube muffler. But other than that, this is just the fastest way to get exhaust right out of your motor and moving on down the track. I wouldn't recommend something like this for street use because it's pretty loud. Again, just a really loud single bullet muffler. But if you're trying to make as much power as you can, as much noise as you can, this race bullet will do it. Same thing, applications in 1.5 inch, 1 5/8, and 1 3/4 inch. No matter which Sidewinder header you have, the race bullet will go right to it with the V-band. So if you already have an existing Sidewinder, you can just opt to buy this muffler right on our website and throw it on your car whenever you want to. So the systems that we've been talking about so far are your raw Sidewinders. But let's say you want to take it to another level. This is a fully polished Sidewinder setup. And as you can see, like the name implies, it is fully polished. It looks like chrome everywhere. These are beautiful. So this is a polished Sidewinder, again, full body muffler. And then this one would have your 2-tip exit right there, but I took that off so you guys can get an idea of what this looks like. This would be the pea shooter system. There'd be a pipe here with 2 outlets that go into your exhaust cutouts on your apron for Beetle. That's what this system's for. But we offer polished in all of the A1 exhausts that we sell, no matter which car you have. So if you've got a bus, you got a Type 3, Beetle, you can opt for polished. If you want people to freak out when they see your exhaust, this is what you would go with. So far, we've talked about Sidewinders, which are Beetle and split bus specific. But what if you want something a little bit custom? Like if you have an off-road car, well, we've got you covered too. You check this thing out. This is something that we had the idea for and had A1 make it for us. This is sort of a modern interpretation of what the old school Manx exhaust would be like if A1 put their spin on it. So you can see you've got sort of the idea of a Sidewinder header and then the old school glass pack setup shooting straight out the side. So yeah, it's going to be pretty loud, but it looks awesome. It's going to make a bunch of good power, and you're really going to see this hanging out the back of your buggy. So if you have a Manx and you have a bigger performance motor like this one, this is 1 5/8 inch, again fully polished like the one I showed you for Beetle. But this one will be specifically for Manx, and you can order these now. They're on our website. It's something that we offer either in raw finish or in polish like you see here, or we can also do black Cerakote, which we haven't shown you, but it would basically black the whole system out. Looks really cool. This is a pretty rad system if you've got a cool buggy, especially metal flake, and you want something loud and in your face. This is what you want. So this is the first one of these things that's been made, but there are others in production. If you have a buggy, this is probably the system that you want to get right here. So check these things out on the website. So what we've talked about mainly today are Sidewinders, which is this system here. The reason that we do a lot of these Sidewinders is because they fit all the cars really easily. You don't have to worry about space constraints or any of that stuff. This is a really simple bolt-on. But you've also heard me talk a lot about the Class 11 exhaust. And I don't have one on display right here, but you can find them all over our social media. We've got sound clips, pictures, videos. They're everywhere on our site. Check this out. If you got a slammed bug, this is what you need. This is a fully polished Class 11 exhaust. The entire system is comprised of this section right behind your apron, so you don't give up any ground clearance. It's great for slam cars and especially air ride. And the Class 11 system is a really tight, compact system that sticks right up behind the apron on your Beetle, and everything sits above the bottom of the engine case. So why would you want that? Well, if your car is really slammed or on air ride or something like that, and you need all the ground clearance you can get, it's the only system that will give you performance and ground clearance in one really compact package. It actually sits up tighter than the Sidewinder does, and the muffler is also sitting about at this area, so there's nothing over here on this side. It's all made up right in the front of the system. And that, again, gives you the most ground clearance you can get for a Beetle. There is not a Sidewinder for a bus. It's only for bug. And if your bug's slammed like most of the cars that we have, or somewhere close to that, then the Class 11 really is the best choice. It's also made for off-road cars, obviously, so if you need ground clearance there, Class 11 is the one that you go with. But the added benefit is that we found it works great for lowered cars. So again, if your car's really slammed, lots of camber, and you're scraping your exhaust on everything there is, check the Class 11 system out on our website. It is the perfect option for you guys. Now, for you guys that are building race motors, or you like the old school look of a merged header, we also have that available. It's called the Lowdown header, and you can see that on our website. It's basically like a modern version of the old school merged header, but just with tuned lengths so that you're getting good performance out of it. All the popular sizes from 1.5 inch, 1.5, 1 3/4, and we can even do bigger if you're building like a real street motor or something like that. It'd be a custom order, but it's something that we can do. That system you can pair up with either the Renkafer muffler or the bombshell muffler, which exits out the side. If you're into cow look, you know what that looks like. That's going to be like your all-out performance exhaust option. They're still great for street cars, and it's not any different in performance to like a Sidewinder. You're not going to lose anything by driving that on the street. The difference is we can take the merged header and muffler combos a lot bigger than we can with Sidewinder. So for example, if you're building a real street motor and you need like a 2-inch or even a stepped set system, or bigger than that, we can do that for you. You really can't do that with a Sidewinder. So there's more options for the Lowdown or the real street header than there is for Sidewinders. So basically what I'm trying to say is, you're building a race motor or something big performance, or you just like the look of a merged header, the Lowdown is your best option. We have all kinds of mufflers available, including the OG duals, which are dual quiet packs, just like guys were running in the 80s. They look awesome today with the V-band connector on them. We've done a bunch of them. They make great power and they sound awesome. We'll drop a clip on this video so you can see one running on a motor we just did. One thing I have to mention that we get asked a lot about is options, customizing, that sort of thing. So let's talk about that for a second. As it's delivered, this is what your Sidewinder is going to look like. But we get people all the time that want to do like an O2 bung, like they're going to run an O2 sensor or something like that. Can we do that? Of course. We can add the O2 bung to any system that I've shown you today and any of the other ones that we've talked about. If you need it, you just call us and we'll add the O2 bung to it. As far as hardware is concerned, what do you use? Well, these systems are what's considered a precision fit. So inside of here, like I showed you on this muffler, this is the opposite side of your V-band. The other side has a recess for this to fit into, and then the clamp goes right over it. There is no gasket that goes here. There's no silicone that goes here. There's no seal that goes here. All of it is done with this clamp, and they are leak-free. Trust me, we've run plenty of them. Never had an issue. They work great. As far as your flanges are concerned, you've got super thick flanges that are milled flat. So you're just going to use an exhaust gasket like your stock one, or you can even get bigger ones if you need it, and bolt it on just like you would a stock exhaust. There's nothing special that you need to do to make this system work. Customizing, okay? I get asked this all the time. do you have this coating, or can I do this, can I do that? The answer is invariably yes. All the systems are going to start out raw. If you want polished, like I showed you, we can do polish. You can do the header polished and you can leave the muffler raw. You can do the muffler raw and do the header polished. You can, I think I just said that twice. Anyway, you get the idea. You want to do Cerakote, we have black Cerakote available, so you can mix and match all that stuff too. You can do the whole system in black Cerakote, you could do polished muffler, Cerakote header, you can switch those around. I think my brain's getting confused already, but whatever options that you want to do that are in the scope of something that we offer, we can do it for you. Like I've said before, we make systems for Beetle, split bus, we do Baywindow, we also have Type 3, we've got Thing, we've got Buggy like you see back there. We do Class 11 racing systems. We also do Baja bug systems. So all the traditional style Baja setups that you've seen, we have those available. Pretty much everything that's air-cooled Volkswagen, we have a system for, including Type 4 motors. And you'll see those on our website too. So if you've got a bus that's got a Type 4 motor in it, or a Beetle that you've done that to, or even a 914, we have that available. Kit cars, we do that stuff too. Typical Sidewinder like this, but made for a Porsche Speedster. So if you've got one of those cars, we have systems for that as well. Basically anything air-cooled, we've got a system for you that's going to make power, sound good, bolt right on, full stainless steel, totally customizable, and guaranteed to fit. That's the biggest benefit of all of the things that I've shown you today, is that these fit really well. So take a look at the exhaust section of our website. If you don't see what you're after, you can always get us on the phone, use email, send us a text message if you want to. All of that stuff works. One thing I want to mention about these systems that makes them different from pretty much everything else on the market is, first, these are all made in the United States. They're all handmade right here in California. And if you come in close, let me just show you some of the things that make these special. They're all mandrel bent. It's all stainless steel. And as you can see, they're fully TIG welded all throughout. Beautiful welds, all hand done by one person. Pretty nice feature of these exhausts. And you know it's an A1 because it's got the little medallion down here, and every muffler has a stamp on it right there. The other added benefit is how thick these flanges are. And if you've got any sort of aftermarket air-cooled Volkswagen exhaust system, you'll know right away that these flanges are much thicker than what you're going to get on any of the overseas systems. It makes it so that you don't get warping, you don't get leaking, you don't get flanges that are sort of crooked or not flat. These are nice thick flanges. They're made to handle high heat. You're not going to get warpage. You're not going to get them lifting. You're not going to get any of that stuff. You're really getting a top quality performance system. Truly, there isn't another one on the market that's anywhere near the quality of these. Handmade right here in California, it's really as good as it gets. There's a lot more to these systems and a lot more systems to talk about, but this is a good overview for you guys to get an idea of what's out there. And if one of these looks like it's going to work for your car, you can get more in-depth and more information on it right on our website or call us. But if you don't see what you're after, always call us. If you're looking for performance for your air-cooled Volkswagen, this is the place to start. You're building a performance motor, this is what you need. So check us out online. Make sure you check us out on social media. We are everywhere, and I mean everywhere, all the time. And make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. We've got a lot of stuff coming out. This is just one of the things that we're doing, but we've got project car builds and some other in-depth look at products that we're going to do real soon. So if this stuff interests you, make sure you subscribe because it's free. And tell all your Volkswagen friends as well. They need to subscribe. And make sure you share our videos with them. If you find something in this video that they may find interesting, share it with your friends. Let them know. And drop us a comment and let us know what other things you'd like to see us talk about, because there's a lot of things. This is just a surface level dive into what's available for the air-cooled Volkswagen exhaust system market, but there's a lot more things we can talk about. So drop us a comment, tell us what you want to see, and maybe we'll get to it. But for now, that's all I got for you guys. I'll catch you next week.